Well, welcome back. We are now in the final video series for topic 2, the Atlantic World Revolts. We are in this last section. We're going to close the Democratic Revolutions section, even though it's going to continue on and ripple effect throughout the 1800s. We're sitting at a really critical point. We're at 1799, 1800. We're about that turn of the century moment. And we need to look at see what's going on, what's happening, what's our new situations as we move into and around this new century and move into another 100 years of history. It's early in the morning. We're filming early today, so I got my coffee going, and hopefully we'll make it through without any major mistakes. So let's dive in. All right, we're looking at 3 basic sections. It's going to be a short video today. We got a counter-revolution that's going to build up in response to these revolutions that are popping up in America, in France, et cetera, and their ripple effects. I want to take a look at the ripple effects of these revolutions, and then we'll do a wrap-up to close out topic 2. So, as the democratic revolutions are wrapping up, we talked about the French Revolution recently. We haven't finished that series. Bonaparte is currently the first consul in France. He is moving his way into a place of dominance, almost to the place of being emperor again. We know historically that's his goal. But he isn't quite there yet. He's sort of a soft dictator, a soft king, if you would. He's still rallying his people to his side. But he is looking forward in that direction. The United States has clearly established itself by 1799, 1800. It's trying to work out its sort of ideologies, all the ones that we discussed several weeks ago concerning the philosophes and their thinking of equality of man, of natural rights, of government being established by people, not by some divine appointment to a particular king or authority, but that the people give up their liberties willingly, collectively to an authority in order to establish that government to protect those people and those people's rights. That's all kind of working out, but those ideas have consequences. And we're going to see in the 1800s how those ideas worked themselves out. But it should be kept in mind that this wasn't sort of like everybody got on board and we're sort of finished. The ideas are here and they're here to stay, and there's no backlash, nobody standing up and saying, hey, I don't really like this, I want to go back to the old way, because tradition is powerful. People like tradition, and there is at this time counter-revolutions that are rising up, people who are rising up in Britain and Austria and Prussia and the northern regions that will soon become Germany, Italy. There are people that are rising up and saying, no, we don't like this chaotic revolution kind of thinking, and they want to go back. They're trying to get back at a better place, particularly with France, because France has really had that bumpy ride so far. And this is one of the pictures that sort of contrasts these different perspectives. If you this came out in 1792, and you had British liberty and how Britain was trying to define its democratic revolution compared to French liberty. And this is one of those like political cartoons that came out during that time. If you look at Britain at this time, and you look at the symbols that are there, there are very noble symbols. There's the balance of justice. There's good justice. There's the Magna Carta, the sort of the birthing of democracy, so to speak, and the people in Britain back in the day. And you have religion, morality, loyalty, obedience to the law, independence, personal security, all these sort of things, all leading and resulting, all these noble qualities focusing into happiness. That's the idea of British liberty and British democracy. Whereas the contrast is pretty horrible. You have anarchy. You have violence. You see the head of one of the nobles, one of the aristocracy sitting on top of the pike, so to speak, and France standing over the headless nobility in victory. The aristocracy in the back being hung from the lampposts and things like that. This is all about atheism, the throwing off of the godly goodness, perjury, rebellion, treason, anarchy again, and all the way back. And this all leads to this idea of misery. You want to follow France? Go to misery. It's going to lead you to misery. Come to Britain and go the British way, and it leads to happiness. So these sort of counter fights and rebellions and revolutions against France, particularly at this time, is very much in up and around. But it's not only the negative, the counter to the revolution. There are also others who are rising up against France, against other areas, against Spain. We're going to see that in future weeks coming. That are going to say, well, we actually want this idea of all men are created equal and natural rights, and we're going to take it onto ourselves. And we see one of the biggest ones during this time is between 1791 and 1804. We have this rebellion, the slaves in modern day, or what will be called in our modern times Haiti. It's Saint-Domingue. At the time, this is in the Caribbean, in the New World, one of the richest spots of all the world at this time as far as resources and revenue. The slaves rise up and fight France and actually overthrow French rule in this area. All because of this idea of, well, hey, all men are created equal. We're men, therefore we should be free too. You're going to see it also in Latin America, Central America, working its way all the way down into South America in the early 1800s. And then, of course, there's this sort of manifest destiny sort of ideology that brews up within the United States, that the United States should work its way westward and take its democracy and Christianity and religion and move into the West and take over the territory that was at one time all belonged to Spain, supposedly. So we're going to look first at this revolt in the Caribbean, that rich area, and this is the slave revolt. These are our two big leaders at this time. One is Toussaint Louverture. He was a slave. He rose up, became the general of the slave revolt, rose up, and we're going to find out that Napoleon is going to play a dirty trick on him after he's gained back the land. He's thrown off France. Napoleon's going to come back and try to get it again. He's going to trick him, and he's going to end up dying in prison. But his protege, the one that's his second in command, so to speak, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, he is going to then continue the fight and actually put down Napoleon's efforts to regain this territory. And we're going to look at that in just a minute. This is that region. You see that the Saint-Domingue is on the the left-hand side, the western side, that is what is modern-day Haiti now. Santo Domingo is on the right side. That's where Columbus sailed and landed back in his day. You're also going to see, if you look down at the bottom left-hand side, Britain's going to try to do its bit also in not only in the late 1700s, but they're going to try in the early part of the 1800s as well. But if you look at the result, where the New World, where Latin America, Central America, South America was at about the 1800, you'll see that all of the green there, that's all controlled by Spain. Spain is control of all of that, all the way across even into what is modern-day Florida, that bottom territory. They control New Orleans, that exit port from the Mississippi coming through the Central Valley of the United States. And then the yellow, that would be Portugal. Portugal owns and controls Brazil at this time. There's only a little sliver for the Dutch and for the French and the Guianas. A little bit going on in Jamaica and the islands in the Caribbean, but for the most part, it's controlled by Spain and Portugal, as you can see. By the time you get to 1830, all of that is gone. All of Spain's influence is pretty much overthrown. There are revolts throughout all those areas throughout the early 1800s. Brazil is gone. It's been given to a gentleman by the name of Dom Pedro, and Brazil is all independent. Chile is independent. Venezuela, Colombia, those are all independent, all through the little peninsula area that's coming down, the Panama area region, all the way into what is now modern-day California, New Mexico, et cetera, et cetera. That's all given up. Spain has lost it all by the 1830s. So there's big revolts that continue on. This is a big ripple effect. It hasn't stopped. These ideas are going to perpetuate throughout time. But it also kind of gives us a good reason, at least from the standpoint of European countries, the big players in the late 1700s, France, Spain, Portugal, Britain, kind of gives us pause to kind of look at, well, hey, we got kind of a new situation going on. We've had all these revolts. France is on its own, has its new first consul in Bonaparte. Britain's kind of had its sort of rise and newness. It's broken off. It's kind of let go of the colonies. United States has sort of risen up on its own. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, and there's a reason and need to kind of pause and go, okay, well, what's this new situation? What are we looking at now from France's perspective, from Britain's perspective, from Spain's perspective, from the United States perspective? What is happening in the Atlantic? So what this does is it brings us to a point where we need to sort of hold back for a moment. We got this turn of the century. We got new era coming into being. The democratic revolutions have changed France, have changed Britain, have changed the United States, changed Spain. New ideas and revolts are taking place in Spain as well. And we need to stop for a moment and go, well, what is next? What situations, what opportunities, what problems are being presented now as we move into this new era, this new century? And when we come back next week for our new topic, revolutions in the early 1800s, we're going to see how that rippling effect of the commercial revolution, the military revolution, the democratic revolutions, how they all kind of come into this big gigantic wave and just run into the 1800s around the world. And who's going to do what, when, where? What problems are they going to have? What opportunities are they going to have? And what choices are they going to make as they move into the new century? And that's where we're going when we start Topic 3, Revolutions in the early 1800s. So we'll see you then.